There are a lot of different things. But I had some really, coming in now as somebody who works in a studio for my first time ever this year, there was a very relaxed nature to my networking that hasn't been there. There wasn't the frantic, I really need to find a lead to find work. I don't necessarily have context of experience. I'm quite comfortable talking to anybody from studio heads and distributors and anything else. I know enough to keep my own, but now I can talk from experience rather than from more academic knowledge, from just reading the papers and from other conversations. I can actually talk from personal experience. So that, in addition to everything else, being relaxed and feeling like I'm hitting deeper conversations with people, that was a really neat difference this year. Okay, currently, this is new this year, I am a 3D layout artist on a 3D live action hybrid show for kids that will be airing on Netflix probably in about a year. So my day involves, it's never the same, but generally involves setting up shots from storyboards and using live footage plates, trying to figure out the angles to make the assets look like they fit in the frame properly, and setting up camera lensing to make sure that the distortion of all our 3D assets match the distortion that needs to be applied to the footage. So my days are either setting up new shots for new episodes, or they are doing fixes on notes from the client that come in. Outside of that, I've been doing freelance, so my weekends, not a weekday, I'm still wrapping up my third music video. I've got, I think, 2 whole days left to do wrap up, and then I'll be free of that one. So it's not the same from every day, but that's generally what I do. It is. When your storyboard is being done by people who are 2D series experienced, that's a challenge. When that same client is providing live footage, and the live footage wasn't shot till after the storyboards were created, sometimes the angle changes. So we need to be able to get the gist of what's going on. Usually it's the shot. If it's a medium shot, the camera angle's different for the live footage, where we've got it at like a 45-degree angle or something, and the storyboard has it being head on. It's still a medium shot. The character still is facing more or less the same direction at the camera, but we're working around it. So it works that way, but because it's for 2D, some of the stuff, they can go off model more than we can, because you can only go as far as the rig will go. You get things where it's that scaling wasn't quite there for the assets because they weren't built at the time and they weren't necessarily locked in. So if you're a student, if you can get out to any events, whether they're local, whether they're this festival, anywhere where you can start to meet people and establish a presence, nobody is expecting you to be the all-star, the next best thing in animation. Everybody here is generally wanting to meet and encourage. If you're coming here as a student, it's fantastic because you're looking to do it before you need the job. So when you're looking for the job, hopefully some people already know who you are. You are a familiar face, and that would put you ahead of someone who is basically just submitting resumes cold, where there's no connection. Doesn't mean that you'd get the job over them, but there's a familiarity that is definitely an advantage. And coming in and making sure that you're talking with somebody long enough that you get to know a bit about them as well as them knowing about you, and that will hopefully make it easier for follow-up. And even if you don't get a chance to follow up, you've got a starting point for next year. You don't have to remember details, but if they remember they enjoyed talking to you, whether they remember your name when they see you, it's like, that face, I've seen that face. It's much more relaxed coming in, and there's usually a bit of a smile I've noticed from people when they do that. A lot of the game is just simply showing up. If you're showing up and showing that you have that level of interest where you want to see the new works, you want to hear the professional talks, if you're showing up, you're ahead of anybody else that you've come up with, or anybody else from your studio that's not going out to these things. That shows a lot of initiative that will make you somebody that they want to reach out to, that they will want to actively seek out and connect with, and to catch up. And that is an enormous thing for the career. It's a very small community, and it's not that people won't talk to you if you don't do that, but if you become a familiar name, somebody will be like, oh, somebody was telling me about you. A gentleman called me by name yesterday. We were in class together at Art Fundies at Sheridan 21 years ago. I've not seen him since Sheridan. He recognized me. I needed the context because I've been to so many events. I'm like, okay, that face I get. And then I told one of my roommates for staying here that I bumped into this guy that I met from 21 years ago, and he's a supervising animator at this studio, and he says, oh, that name. I'm like,